West Georgia Wolverines at 6-0. And a good afternoon, everyone. Dave Garner alongside Leslie Sweatman. And Leslie, I can't believe it's been 6 years you and I have worked together, but we are looking forward to a great game today.
We are. This looks like a very well-matched game. This is going to be a lot of fun today.
Let's talk a little bit about the Atlanta Wolfpack. This is a team, of course, that has been to this championship game a couple of times over the last couple of years, and they're led by a guy, Reese Johnson, who we have come to know over the last several years as a leader, and now he's a senior in high school.
That he is, and he has really grown into this leadership role on this team. It's really fun to see kids develop that way.
And, of course, you see Johnson right there, 17 points per game. Has done a great job on the year. And, of course, looking forward to seeing the Atlanta Wolfpack out there. And there's the starters, Lacey Todd, Terreno Newton, Abubakar Garba, Rodriguez Griggs, and Reese Johnson. Some names you might have heard before if you've seen these guys play over the last couple of years. And we're certainly excited to have the Wolfpack with us here today. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Leslie, the West Georgia Wolverines are here once again, as they have been over the time. And they've got some great athletes on their side of the ball as well.
They do. They too. We've watched them grow up as they go through the years. And there you see Erica Gravely, and she's one of their team leaders as a senior.
6 points per game, has done an excellent job. One of the tri-captains on this West Georgia Wolverine roster. And there you're going to look, Laura Ray, of course, the sophomore, Leslie Ann Hutchins, Erica Gravely, Douglas Johnston, and Eugene Lane, an 8th grader right here playing for West Georgia today. And looking forward to a great matchup this afternoon. Of course, both sets of coaches have done a wonderful job with these programs. And, of course, the championship here today, 6-0 versus a 5-1. And incidentally, the Atlanta Wolfpack, that one loss coming to West Georgia. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. We'll be right back with the opening tip when we return from the Arena Gwinnett Center. It's Atlanta and West Georgia coming up. Back here at the Arena at Gwinnett Center, let's go courtside to Gerald Oliveri, the other member of our team today. Gerald, what's up?
A throwback to 2006 when these two teams faced off in the championship game. The Wolfpack won that game. However, today, the Wolverines are undefeated. When I talked to Coach McIntyre before the game, he stressed to his team not to get overconfident. They want to make short, good passes, nothing long, and he reminded them if they're going to win today's game, it's going to be with good defense. Back over to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Gerald. We'll talk to you throughout the day here today. Dave Garner, Leslie Sweatman courtside with you along with the rest of our GPB crew as championship weekend continues right here on GPB, and looking forward to it. Again, the ASP Wheelchair Basketball Championship, year number 6, right here on GPB. Of course, we're going to be joined later in the broadcast today by Scott Hollenbeck, a former world-class wheelchair racer. And we'll talk to him a little bit, and of course, we're going to have plenty of basketball action here today. Reese Johnson tipping at midcourt alongside Douglas Johnston. And Reese with the basketball is quite the ball handler, but lost the handle on that one there along the line. See Atlanta, of course, in the white, West Georgia in the yellow here today. We have 6 8-minute quarters with a continuous clock. So 3 periods in the first half, 3 periods in the second half. As you see West Georgia battling, trying to get it across, and a jump ball call. Possession arrow will stay with West Georgia, it looks like.
Might have a little early in the game jitters, some ball handling issues there. I'm sure they'll settle in.
Laura Ray will inbound at one of those tri-captains, the sophomore from Flint River Academy. And you see the officials there, Leon Porter, Alvin Jackson, and Stephen Lewis. And I know, Leslie, as an official yourself, you're pretty familiar with these guys, and they've reffed a lot of GHSA basketball games. So certainly something different here today.
They have, and you know, the great thing about that is that as an official trainer, which I am for this organization, I don't have to worry about teaching these guys positioning and signals. What I do have to teach them is to watch a little lower than what they're accustomed to.
Right.
A lot of the fouls in wheelchair ball happen way down low. And you got to sort of retrain your eyes where to watch as a referee.
And the first 2 points of the ball game belong to the man we focused on up top of today's broadcast, Reese Johnson, averaging 17 points a game, the senior from Douglas High School. And the Wolfpack leads at 2-0.
Got Atlanta pressing early here.
Yes, they are.
Aggressive defense.
Take another look at that last score there. Johnson, nothing but net right there along that baseline. Johnston back on the other and throws up a shot off the mark.
That ball hit off Rodriguez's arm or chair or something. That's why he didn't handle that pass. Nice job by Laura Ray to get down there and get that loose ball.
something you alluded to off camera before we came up here today, Leslie, was the fact that as an official, you've got to watch your Achilles a little bit too there. You talk about looking a little bit lower. You got to watch out. You don't take a wheel in the back of the calf.
Oh, yeah. If you've ever been in the grocery store with your child and they've run over your heel, you know what it feels like.
And there's Douglas Johnston, the 8th grader from Manchester Middle School, with the first 2 points of the game for West Georgia. Now, as we mentioned, these two tangled earlier in the year, and Atlanta's lone loss was a 24-22 defeat to West Georgia. Sees Johnston putting it in there to tie this ball game up. So these two have some history this year, and basically the rematch from a regular season thriller that came down to the very end. That shot by Johnson off the mark.
Now that's unusual for Reese. That was a nice look right into the basket. He doesn't normally miss those.
The Wolfpack, of course, in white, the defending state champs, won it in 2006 and, of course, last year, averaging 27.6 points a game offensively and allowing just 10. Meanwhile, West Georgia in the yellow averaging 20 points a game and allowing 10. So statistically, both teams pretty much in the same ballpark. Nice look inside to Laura Ray, trying to put up a shot. Off the mark, rebound Johnson, who pushes ahead and gets it into the hands of Abubakar Garba, the sophomore from North Atlanta High School.
Nice defense by Laura Ray.
And knocked away. And it will stay with the Wolfpack. Leslie, one thing we do want to mention is that not all of these athletes are confined to wheelchairs. Some of them, of course, do a lot of other things there. And I know last year we had a situation where a player fouled out and actually got up out of the chair and walked off the floor. And some of the viewers might have been thinking, well, wait a minute, what's going on there?
Right. As it turns out, that was not a miraculous healing. In fact, a lot of these kids do walk in their everyday life. They do not use the chairs all the time. But that is, of course, a requirement of wheelchair basketball. You do have to be in a wheelchair. So they get in the chairs to play. It's a piece of sport equipment like shoulder pads and helmets for football players.
Another shot by Johnston, a little too strong off the glass this time. Johnson gets it ahead once again into the hands of Garba, now for Rodriguez. Griggs will pick it up. Griggs, a junior from Maynard Jackson High School, puts it up and in. Griggs with his first two of the night, averaging a little over 3 points a year a game. West Georgia with a 2-point lead, 4-2 with 3.5 to play here in this first period. We're talking about Laura Ray and some of these players that we've seen for several years, but yet some of them are only freshmen and sophomores in high school. But they've been playing since they were in 5th and 6th grade, and that's how we've gotten to know these guys so well, because basically it's pretty much 1 through 12 as far as grades.
Yeah, so we can have them playing for a lot of years, which is really one of the best things about working with this organization, is watching them, you know, grow and develop and become more confident through sport and learn their own abilities, and you know how that impacts them throughout their life, not just out here on the basketball court.
Tell you what, Eugene Lane had one blocked, nearly got the foul though, then Ray comes up a little bit short. Now back on the other end, Johnson trying to beat Leslie Ann Hutchins to the ball, does so. Hutchins, a freshman from Callaway High School.
There we had Riggs out of the chair. He was had a little too much action around him. Now, when an athlete falls out of a chair, we don't necessarily stop play unless they're in a spot where the ball or the chairs are going to get too close, and they become then in danger by being on the floor.
And that's another point to bring up too, Leslie, is that you're not able to use your legs in any way to boost your position in the chair.
Correct. If in fact you do that, that's a special foul that's unique to wheelchair basketball called a physical advantage foul. And it's
taking a look at the West Georgia Wolverine coaches. Jimmy Roberts to your right, his second season with Atlanta, and also Andrea Arnold, third season with the Wolfpack. Dual head coaches there. Both of them up off the bench right there, so you know if you're an Atlanta Wolfpack player, you're going to hear it from two different angles there when you come over towards that bench. Well, they have done a great job, a magnificent job with this Wolfpack team, 5-1 on the year. And a 10-second call going against the Wolverines.
That full court pressure is having some impact there. You're also going to see a fatigue factor set in as you deal with a full court press.
They're going to look at Coach Richard McIntyre, 8th season with West Georgia. A lot of them refer to him as Coach Mac. And his Wolverine squad has a 2-point lead here with 1:30 left in this first period with a timeout on the floor.
I also see over there in that West Georgia huddle some alumni that are giving some coaching tips as well. You know, they've been out on the floor in this situation before. They have some good words of encouragement for their up-and-comers on their teams.
Well, just a reminder again, the games from this weekend being streamed live on the Georgia Public Broadcasting website. That's www.gpb.org. Again, all of the games will also be archived and played at a later date. Again, gpb.org, streaming live championship basketball from the arena at Gwinnett Center and also from the Macon Coliseum this weekend as well. Saw the Coosa High cheerleaders in the house here lending a helping hand as well. And of course, a lot of things to check out here, including this wheelchair game. So I want to remind folks to log on to www.gpb.org. So after the timeout, number 2, Lacey Todd, a 5th grader from Burgess Peterson Academy, will inbound it for the Atlanta Wolfpack. Todd, 3 years of playing experience with a 3.2 GPA, 2-time honor roll student. Looks like number 22, Torino Newton Jr., the sophomore, being helped.
His coaches were called out on the court to help get him up because the coaches know the disabilities better and know any issues. You know, the way you lift a child depending on their disability might be harmful, so we let the coaches come out and assist them in that because they know the players better.
And also there is obviously a responsibility among the officials too to know these players a little bit.
Yeah, it really is an advantage for the officials to get to know the kids through the regular season because with the varying disabilities, there are different impacts that you'll see and look for, and it can actually impact how you call a foul, whether or not something was it truly illegal or was that a part of their disability that they could not help.
Inbound into Griggs, over to Johnson, feeding it inside. And the one thing I've really been impressed about here so far in the early going, Leslie, is you see Griggs with another shot. He's got 4 points here in this first quarter. And it's now a 6-2 Atlanta lead. But to Reese Johnson, another example right there, certainly not shy about giving that basketball up, playing very unselfishly, looking for his teammate first.
There's that leadership that we were talking about.
Right. Whistle on the floor. Looks like that one's going to be called against Garba.
Just like an able-bodied ball, you have to establish a position in order to have a legal block, and he did not do that on that particular play.
Gravely on the other end. Gravely, a member of the 2008 handball championship team from West Georgia. You see Douglas Johnston working towards the hoop, has had a couple of open looks here today as the Wolverines only 2 points here this first period. Looks like they're going to call some contact there on Leslie Ann Hutchins.
They're going to get her for backing in. That's pretty much an automatic whistle every time you see it.
Final seconds rolling away here in period number 1 from the arena at Gwinnett Center in this 2009 ASP Wheelchair Basketball Championship. And boy, that one nearly went in. Looks like a whistle and a foul going to be called on Gravely. Not liking that call right there, but nonetheless, looks like that will end the first period here. Back here at the arena at Gwinnett Center, you see the crowd in here today to check out the 2009 Aspen State Wheelchair Basketball Championship, and the Atlanta Wolfpack with a 9-2 advantage over the West Georgia Wolverines. Rodriguez Griggs knocked down all 3 free throws during the break. They waved Griggs back out, and he was able to knock down all 3, so that sort of widened the gap here a little bit. And the Wolfpack will open the second period with a 7-point advantage and the basketball. Dave Garner, Leslie Sweatman with you. Gerald Oliveri courtside with us today, along with the rest of the GPB crew. Reese Johnson, number 23, the star, if you will, for the Wolfpack, off the mark on that last shot right there. But I think even Johnson would agree that without a supporting cast, the Wolfpack would not be in this position right here today. Johnson, of course, the senior from Douglas High School, had 22 points in a game earlier this season.
Oh, Erica's had a nice move there, but Reese is so quick. I thought she was going to have a fast break there and get clean to the basket, but he caught up to her.
Terry Chambers, good look ahead to Johnson, who goes behind the back there a little bit, puts up the shot, would not go. Douglas Johnston got a hand on it. It was last touched by him, so the ball will stay with the Wolfpack.
Yeah, that behind-the-back move has somewhat become his signature, but I think it cost him in that one. I think he lost control of the ball a little bit as he brought it back around the front of his body, and that's why that shot didn't come off like he had hoped.
But you know, Leslie, with the TV cameras on today, I mean, you know, it's a state championship game. I think Reese he's wanting to entertain the crowd here and the viewers at home.
Absolutely, and he will do that.
And you can get away with that when you're up, when you got a lead right now, like the Wolfpack does. But that one out of bounds to the Wolverines. Meanwhile, West Georgia, as we mentioned, a perfect 6-0 this year. Just a great season under Coach Richard McIntyre.
Doug Johnson doing a nice job of getting out around that crowd.
Had Justin Jones open underneath.
Of course, he had Reese Johnson between him and his teammate. I'm not sure if he felt like he could make that pass over Reese's outstretched arms or not.
Foul on Terry Chambers, number 13. There you see Terry, 7th grader from Sylvan Middle School. Oh, good look right there by Johnston.
Erica. Oh.
Unable to hit the shot right there and back the other way. That's Griggs with the basketball. Atlanta with a 2-on-1 situation here.
That was a good no call on that contact by the referees there.
Rodriguez Griggs, open look at the hoop. And how about Griggs today, Leslie? 9 points here in this first half for Rodriguez Griggs.
Rod's lighting it up, isn't he?
Averaging just over 3 points a game, and of course, well above that here today.
Now you'll see that Rod primarily only uses his right arm. His left arm he uses a little bit to push the chair, but all passes are caught and made, and all shots are taken with that right arm only. I don't know why it doesn't just want to fall off by the end of a game.
Timeout, West Georgia. The Wolverines want to talk things over right here, trailing by 9. They've certainly got their work cut out for them, but what a job here, Leslie, by this Atlanta team in the first half to put some distance between themselves and the undefeated West Georgia team.
Yeah, they needed to get off to a quick start, I think, to boost their confidence up after that one loss coming from the West Georgia team.
You saw Richard McIntyre there. You get a look at Andrea Arnold and Jimmy Roberts, the two co-head coaches for the Atlanta Wolfpack. Of course, Coach Mack, his younger son, Rick Jr., also over there as well, dressed the same way in the dark shirt with the khaki pants there.
Yeah, Rick Jr. had a nice taste of what his athletes go through. He had a bad break in his foot, has been in a wheelchair, and only got permission to get up out of his wheelchair within the last couple of weeks.
1, 2, 3, Wolverines!
Trying to fire him up. West Georgia needing a little bit of a boost right here, trailing by 9, but still plenty of time to go. And I believe over the last couple of years, if my memory serves me well, we've had some games where it might have been a double-digit lead at one point, and then all of a sudden, you know, things came right back. And, of course, we do want to remind folks, for additional information on Adapted Sports, please visit their website, www.adaptedsports.org. Very nice website. I know last year I think it was redone there a little bit, and a lot of information on there. Nice layout, easily navigable, and certainly want to encourage folks to check out adaptedsports.org.
So much good information on there.
And now there's a little bit of history on there as well. Looking back, of course, the first one played in 2004, the first basketball championship. And so the website's also filling up a little bit more with information, too, over the years.
Oh, yeah. We've added some teams. I know that Scott Hollenbuck, when he joins us, is going to talk to us a little bit about that.
Justin Jones had it knocked away there by Reese, but I believe he's going to get the foul called on him. Will Reese Johnson.
Good to hear his teammate Erica encouraging him that he had done a good job. He's new to the team, not as experienced as the other players. Getting some good advice and leadership from his team captain now.
And you see, initially, you saw it was all ball right there, but then Johnson came back, got the wrist right there, and so now Jones will be at the line here. And Justin, a 6th grader from Manchester Middle School.
Here we'll see if Justin has the arm strength to get that. That is a long way to throw a basketball on 10-foot hoop from a wheelchair.
It is. Yes, it is.
It doesn't look that tough sitting here on the sidelines, but having been in the chair myself, I can tell you it's tough.
And got it. Oh, they're going to wait. Point right here. That's unfortunate because Justin 1 of 2 on that trip, hit the second, but a lane violation called on the Wolverines.
And yet smiling as he goes down the court.
Well, you know, you have to respect the official's decision, but boy, from a sentimental standpoint, you just hate to see that, you know?
Having been in the ref's shoes, I do know where they're coming from,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not easy to make that call, but it's the right call to make.
Right, absolutely. Looked like Griggs may have taken a finger in the face there momentarily, but was able to regain possession of the basketball, then knocked away by Johnston. I'm pretty impressed with Douglas here today, number 50 in the gold for West Georgia. Has really played a lot of defense, has really been one of those guys up and down the floor.
Yeah, he has. He, you know, his disability affects his shoulders, and so he doesn't move quite as quickly as some, but he knows where to go, and that's almost as important as how quickly you can get there.
Saw Johnston's numbers right there. You know, this West Georgia team, really, when you look at it from top to bottom, down the roster, you really don't have that superstar. I mean, Laura Ray is a little over 7 points a game. Erica's a little over 6. As you see, Richard and Rick, senior and junior, they're on the West Georgia bench, but they don't have that one standout star like the Reese Johnson. It's pretty much just an overall team effort. They come to play. They score enough points to win defense.
It really is, and Coach Mack really stresses that team approach. That's something that they work on a lot in their practices. Good passes, good fundamentals. He's a back to basics kind of coach, which you might expect.
Well, you know, and obviously it's co-ed here today, both boys and girls. And when you look at Georgia roster, 3 tri-captains, all girls.
Excellent back picks on Reese Johnson. Look where he is, behind half court, got frustrated and just sat still. Should have been down there helping get those rebounds right there.
We'll stay with West Georgia.
A little bit of frustration, but he had 2 players back picking him so that he could not get past half court.
Looks like Reese will come out of the ball game. Substitution right here, Torino Newton Jr., the sophomore from Booker T. Washington High School, averaging right at 6 points a game this year.
I think the coaches saw that frustration on Reese, the way he sat back there, and they're going to have a little talk to him about attitude, I believe.
I think so. See the shot right there by Ray would not go. We were talking about earlier, though, again, West Georgia with 3 tri-captains, Laura Ray, Erica Gravely, and Leslie Ann Hutchins, all ladies out there.
Yeah.
Serving as those upper-class leaders.
They're tough, though. You don't have to worry too much about whether they're a boy or a girl when you're out there playing against them, because they are tough as nails. We got to travel, yeah. I thought for a second that was going to go by the refs, but they sure didn't catch it. A traveling wheelchair ball would be 3 pushes on your hand rims without a dribble of the ball.
Into Gravely.
We've got a player down, but you see that they're not stopping play. And in fact, he's able to get himself up.
2 for Douglas Johnston. And he has all 4 of the West Georgia Wolverine points. We'll take another look at it right here. Good look inside by Gravely to a wide open Johnston underneath.
They just need a couple more shots like that to get their confidence level back up, and they might be right back in this game. Especially if they can figure out how to back pick Reese Johnson a little bit more like they just did, take him out of that defense.
Well, that worked a while ago. They had the open look, just couldn't knock it down, but it's good strategy. Johnson, Reese Johnson back into the game for Atlanta. So just a quick chat with Coach Arnold and Coach Roberts over there on the bench, and then quickly back into the lineup.
Gravely able to reach in into Rodriguez had the ball in his lap. She was able to reach in and knock that out. Some good defense. That's one thing West Georgia's very good at. They will frustrate you reaching in and knocking that ball around.
Again, Johnston staying close to Johnson. Reese trying to dribble through some traffic. Not a lot of open real estate, though. Throws that one behind, out of bounds, and back to the Wolverines.
You can credit Doug Johnston for that pressure that forced Reese Johnson, to make that bad pass.
First undefeated basketball season for West Georgia, who did win the championship in 07. These 2 teams here today have accounted for the last 3 state championships, 4th one coming today. Of course, the Wolfpack winning it in 06 and 08. The Wolverines, of course, in 07. Looking inside, the look just off the mark. Kept alive by Jones. Into the hands of Laura Ray, puts up the shot and hits. Laura Ray with her first two. Ray, one of those tri-captains, a member of the 07 basketball championship team, the 07 handball and football championship teams, as you see it right there, and a good-looking shot there. And Ray also, by the way, a cheerleader as well.
Yeah.
Back here at the arena at Gwinnett Center, and we are joined now by a very special guest, former world-class wheelchair racer Scott Hollenbeck, joining us here courtside along with Leslie Sweatman. I'm Dave Garner. Scott, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Very exciting game here so far. I know West Georgia's got a little bit of catching up to do, but the Wolfpack off and running here so far.
It's going to be an exciting game, and I think that we'll just see if they switch the tides a little bit here.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit. I know that you've been involved with adaptive sports, have done a great job, and some of the things you guys have going on. I know you that's a lot of things.
The program's doing great. We've had some amazing growth last year. We added 3 new districts. We added Gwinnett Heat, and they had 3 sports. So right here in Gwinnett County, they're doing fast. Oconee and Clark brought a team in, which over in the Athens area, that's the Northeast Renegades. They won the JV Junior Varsity Handball Championship as a whole. So they're and then down in Houston County also brought a team on. So we're ecstatic to have those 3 new members to the league. Other interesting area that we've had out different states looking at what's going on in Georgia. This is the model for the nation. I think that's, at least for me as a Georgian, I'm proud of that. I think it's exciting that we're leading the country in this type of these types of initiatives.
Well, I know that ASP was basically the first interscholastic governing body, if I'm not mistaken, for adapted sports, and so it's great to see that some other states and some other folks are going to be coming on board. That's great.
It is. It's exciting, and it's just going to be interesting. It's exciting as we continue to go in the state and share what we're doing with others.
Of course, here in the third period, the Atlanta Wolfpack with an 11-6 lead over the West Georgia Wolverines. Again, 6 8-minute periods with a continuous clock, so the final period, if you will, of the first half. And I know, Leslie, I know that you've had the opportunity to get to know Scott a little bit, and it's certainly a great organization to be a part of, and a lot of great partnerships, I guess, too, are starting to form between adapted sports and some of the other members of our local communities.
That is correct. That is correct. Now, I got to switch back to the game real quick. I'm still nursing an injury from I somehow got suckered into a pre-tournament scrimmage game with the Atlanta team.
Do not let Scott Hollenbeck fool you. Suckered in would not be appropriate. Chomping at the bit to get in, that would be closer to right.
But I can say this much, actually. I had to defend Reese Johnson for an hour and a half last week, and I'm telling you what, I played a little college ball and played a lot of basketball. It was all I had. I mean, these guys have really come around this last year and continue to develop, and some of their athletes are just they're tough.
Yeah, I don't envy you at all having to guard Reese for an hour and a half. That's for sure.
I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I did. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Look inside their whistle. Yeah, Leslie, he's not fooling us at all, Scott, because we saw him out there hour before the game. He's out there talking to the kids, getting them ready, and so, you're fired up. I know, you're fired up today.
Well, and knowing his athletic background and his competitive nature, I'm sure that there wasn't a whole lot of convincing that had to go on to get him out there.
Not a lot. My wife gave me about 400 ibuprofen and said, just don't blow your shoulder out again, honey.
Oh, my goodness. Let's talk for those that may be unfamiliar with you a little bit. I know you were somebody that competed in unprecedented 4 Paralympic Games. Talk about your experiences and some of the things that you've accomplished along the way.
Sure. I was honored to get to represent our country for about 10 years internationally in Paralympics, Olympics, World Championships, and amazing experience, absolutely amazing. And I think taking it back a step further as a high school athlete who was paralyzed, I was hit by a drunk driver, and I lost the opportunity to participate in interscholastic sports, and slowly got involved. We didn't have anything like this.
Right.
And I can speak firsthand that having the opportunity to be a part of your school, having somebody force you to keep your grades up because you wanted to be on a team,
sure.
It's a life changer. I sit here today and I feel like I've had some success as a person, and I can give back because of those limited opportunities. And so I love being a part of this program. I think it's some of the best money that we spend in the state of Georgia. When you look at the fact that we're changing the statistics and the meaning of what historically has been the disability experience.
And that's still going on. There's a young man on the brand new Gwinnett team who was a recent spinal cord injured, recently into a chair, came right out of rehab, and that program was there for him. And according to his family, that has changed his life dramatically. He went from depression to that self-assuredness that comes from knowing what you can do and not focusing on what you can't do.
Right.
So Scott's story is happening all over again here in the state because of this program.
Get a look at Reese Johnson right there at the line, shooting some free throws. Douglas Johnston on the other end a moment ago. Got another bucket there for West Georgia. Johnson at the line right here knocks down his first free throw, making it 13-8. I know Scott is the Director of Partnerships and Outreach for ASPA. Talk a little bit about your roles and responsibilities and in what capacity you've come into this organization.
Sure. We continue to work with a variety of organizations, companies here in Georgia and nationally. Example in Snell, you've got Eagle Sports Chairs, manufactures a lot of chairs that are out here and works with our programs. And so I try to go in and strengthen those relationships. As we move in and we work with our new systems and our existing systems, we set up partnerships. Something I'm working on right now is Athens is going to host the football championships. And,
Great,
we're hoping to do some things with the university football program.
Sure.
And you're just trying to tie together those pieces in the community where there are programs and as we develop new ones. A couple of initiatives with some foundations that I can't talk about. What can I talk about?
Have to keep them under wraps right now. But
what can
bottom line is you guys got a lot of things working, though. And that's
great.
Good.
And then you saw the video. We've reached out with some small production agencies to try to improve the way we communicate our messages out there. And I think that was a classic example of the things that I do. I work on our websites and our promotions and just trying to share what's going on here so that, based on U.S. Department of Education statistics, there's 37,000 kids in the state of Georgia who could be participating in this kind of program.
Right.
And we've still got a long way to go with that, and I'm excited to be a part of that for as long as I can.
How much do you think the partnership with the Georgia High School Association has helped, especially with the exposure of events like this?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. We couldn't do what we do without the GHSA's support and their leadership being there for us as in our dual governing alliance. Couldn't do it without them. Same thing with the Department of Education. Those are the two foundational partnerships of our organization, and we just can't. We couldn't do what we do without them. That's just the end of it. We could not do. Those three new districts that I talked about, those are all from a grant that came from Department of Education. They said, go out, help us find the districts who want to start these programs, and we give them small grants to get going. And that makes the big difference, especially in these times. Schools are cutting back, and when I come knocking on the door and say, hey, what do you think about adding 4 new teams? But with things like Department of Education support, they take a look at it. We've got 3 districts here today. I'm not going to mention them, who are watching, who are looking at what's going on and going, hey, we could do this.
Absolutely.
And so that's only through GHSA and Department of Education. And ultimately, it really comes back to our legislators, too. They see and understand the value. They see that if we keep one student in school, the highest risk population in the state, I don't think people realize that oftentimes. And if they do fall through the cracks, well, they end up on disability income and Medicare for life.
Sure.
So let's throw a uniform and a coach at them, and they actually get jobs. So it's well-spent money, I think, and those are the 2 groups that make it happen.
Okay, we saw Reese Johnson with another 2 there a while ago. Reese starting to heat up. He's got 6 points on the night, and all of a sudden it's just a 6-point ball game. It's got another thing, and Leslie, you can chime in too on this, is the fact that one thing when I look at these athletes right here on the floor, I mean, their GPAs, most all of them 3.0 or beyond. Most all of them are involved in church or civic groups or volunteer at homeless shelters or involved in other activities. And I think that says a lot about the caliber of the kids that are also coming into these programs.
And it speaks to the confidence that they gain as they, again, I hate to harp on it, but they begin to learn their strengths. And that they don't have to be like everybody else. They still have strengths and contributions to be made, and they find that when they find somebody who's willing to help them, then they in turn are willing to give back to their communities.
Johnston takeaway looking inside to Gravely, puts it up off the mark, would not go.
Well,
Wolfpack ball.
As I watch that female duo from the Wolfpack dominating the field out there, one of the partnerships that we've been very proud of in the last year and a half has been with the Women's Sports Foundation. And it's exactly what Leslie said. This is about empowerment. This is about building self-esteem. And when you can come out and you can get on the court and you can put your game out there, it's so much easier to do it in every other area of your life, as Laura Ray goes for another 2 points. So, Women's Sports Foundation came down, watched what we were doing, and we continue to work with them, and they love this programming because it's no different than sports for any group. It's just this is a higher risk group who has more challenges.
Absolutely. Again, do want to remind folks, www.adaptedsports.org. Very informative website. Go ahead and check that out as well.
Well, we're in bonus here. Looks like we're going to go to a 1-and-1 on that last foul on Johnston, Douglas.
For any families or friends of families that are out there, if they're interested in getting a real handle on what we do, we have a parent information section on our website where we've created a parent downloadable pack, and they can get up to speed very quickly on how these could benefit their family or friends of their family wherever they live in the state.
Griggs missing on the front end there. Trying to get the ball back, though. Scramble underneath there. There's Johnson putting up the shot. Johnson with 8 points now. He and Griggs have accounted for all 18 of the Wolfpack points here in the first half. Still just an 8-point game, though.
That's a little bit demoralizing. They were coming back and doing nicely, and then all of a sudden he missed that run into that free throw, but then they got the ball back and scored. Oh, no.
Nice.
He's getting a piece of that again. He's really dominating in there defensively right now.
Final seconds ticking down here in this first half. Scott, certainly want to thank you for coming by and talking with us here today. And I'm sure your 5 medals are going to inspire some of these younger kids. It seems like you got a pretty good relationship with some of them out there. So,
thank you. It's every once in a while I get to share that with them, and then they think it's that much more fun when they school me when I show up.
There you go. Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for having me over, guys.
Thank you for coming here today. Enjoyed it right there indeed. And again, the second half coming up here a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and go to courtside. Gerald Oliveri standing by with the leading coach, Gerald.
Thanks a lot, Dave. I'm here with Coach Roberts. What was the key to your team coming out with such a fast start?
Just worked on consistency, defense. Earlier and faster you score, the easier it is for you to lay back and play your game.
I noticed the Wolverines were starting to press at the end of that third section, third period. What do you plan to do to combat that?
We're going to work on stepping in, using T-blocks, setting picks so we can work our way through this.
All right, well, good luck in the second half. Back over to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Gerald. You're going to take it back here at the arena at Gwinnett Center as we welcome everyone back to the Adapted Sports 2009 Wheelchair Basketball Championship, where we're at the half with the score 18-10 in favor of the Atlanta Wolfpack over the West Georgia Wolverines. Today, ASP is honoring the cheerleaders from Coosa High School from Floyd County Schools for 6 years of spirit and volunteer service in helping to enhance the quality of the annual Wheelchair Basketball Championship event. Then you're going to look at the names there. Again, all from Coosa High. Coach Amy Jo Hill and Lainey Cruz, as you see all of the cheerleaders there. And certainly appreciate those young ladies being with us here this afternoon. And I know it always helps to have some of those players there indeed cheered on by those Coosa High cheerleaders. Yes. Let's go ahead courtside to Gerald Oliveri, who's standing by with a couple of special guests. Gerald.
That's right, Dave. I'm here with a couple of special guests. I have Dr. Ralph Swearingen as well as Jeff Hoffman. We're going to come back to the set, Jeff. Let's talk to you, Dr. Swearingen, about the alliance that the Georgia High School Athletic Association has with ASP. Just talk about that for a second.
We are extremely pleased to have this alliance. We've had it since 2001, we recognize that ASP is probably the foremost authority on school-based athletics for disabled athletes. And so right here, they're in our backyard. We've worked with them. It's been a great growing situation where we're able to provide for disabled athletes the same kinds of experiences and lessons that we provide for our able-bodied athletes.
Talk for a second about the influence that this program and this alliance has had on a national level.
Well, I think that we've been able to open the doors into the vision of a lot of other state associations who never knew exactly how to deal with the issue of incorporating disabled athletes into their programs. So many times the door got forced open because of threats of litigation. What we're showing is a model where the State High School Association and its schools can take the lead of recruiting these athletes, recruiting the coaches. ASP will train them, provide the structure for competitions, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Now, how do you see this alliance growing in the future?
Well, we really don't know. That's the exciting thing. We start with track. We've now incorporated the basketball into our program. There's a lot of different ways we think that our schools can get involved. If we get more and more schools involved, then we may have less regional teams, more school teams themselves, and we can open up brand new sports.
And to be the head of the Georgia High School Association, how proud are you to have spearhead this alliance?
Well, I'm very pleased because I wear two hats, because I'm also on the board of directors of ASP. They were very gracious to ask me to come on, and we've been able to work together, and they have taught me so much about the world of disabled athletics, and I'm just happy to be in this situation.
All right, well, let's find out a little bit more about ASP and talk to the board chairman, Jeff Hoffman. Talk about the benefits that the participants in ASP have by playing the sport.
Certainly. You know, there are 1.5 million kids in grades 1 through 12 that are physically impaired, and those kids just get left on the sidelines. And the result of that is they wind up with the lowest graduation rate. When they go out into the world, they have a 68% unemployment rate. Many of them wind up living on Medicaid, Medicare, and disability income. So this program gives them a chance through our association with GHSA, with our association with the Georgia DOE, gives them a chance to bring these sports programs into the schools, to get these kids involved. We see through the sports programs, through their inclusion in the bigger picture, the experience that you take for granted in high school that these kids don't get. ASP brings these programs affordably and seamlessly into the school. These kids become a bigger part of the bigger picture. Their graduation rate increases. We see an increase in employment rate and self-esteem. It really impacts the entire life and well-being of the student and the community.
Now, Scott Hollenbeck was talking about the growth that you've had this year, a lot of growth. What's the mandates in terms of a program participating with ASP?
Certainly, you know, it's interesting because a lot of states right now, they struggle just to meet the basic federal mandates, and the ASP program done right here in Georgia really goes well above and beyond. We involve the community, the parents, the referees that you see today. We provide a program that's a lot bigger than just the physical mandates and the federal mandates, and there's no way we could do that without our association with GHSA and the DOE. So we really want to thank them for their involvement in the community that you see here today that supports the program.
Now, a lot goes into that support. Also, from a financial standpoint, how has the economy affected how you've been able to put these sports together?
You know, there's no doubt everything gets affected. We get hit too. But it's part of the educational curriculum, and education doesn't stop during a recession. We still keep going to school, and we still keep getting educated. So we'll continue to fight with the help of our partners that you guys have mentioned here today to keep the program going.
Thanks a lot for time with us and getting this information. Jeff Hoffman, Dr. Swearingen, back over to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Gerald. Again, here at the half, 18-10, the Atlanta Wolfpack over the West Georgia Wolverines. Dave Garner alongside Leslie Sweatman right here. And let's go ahead, Leslie, take a look back at that first half. Some exciting wheelchair basketball being played here today at the arena at Gwinnett Center. The Atlanta Wolfpack doing a great job in that first half.
They really did. Reese Johnson lighting it up. A little bit of a surprise with Rod Griggs also putting some good points on the board. They've looked very impressive.
Johnson, of course, as we mentioned, averaging 17 points a game this year. There you're going to look at Griggs into your living room. Rod, of course, with the open look, able to knock down the bucket. The Wolfpack led 9-2 after the first quarter. And there you see another bucket right there. Of course, the West Georgia Wolverines would mount a little bit of attack in the second period. Douglas Johnston with 6 points in that 10. a couple of his buckets there, cut the gap to a 5. But then, of course, Atlanta pulling back out to 8 here before the half. And there you're going to look at the numbers story. Field goal, 6 of 14 for the Wolfpack, 5 of 24 for the Wolverines, who are trying to pick it up as you see the percentages there. Free throws, 6 of 8 for the Wolfpack, creating opportunities at the line. Rebounds almost even. Turnovers 7-4 in favor of West Georgia. Again, Griggs with 12 points and 2 rebounds has had a remarkable first half of basketball. So there you go. The stage is set for the second 3 periods of play here from the Arena at Gwinnett Center, and we are looking forward to it. It's the Atlanta Wolfpack and the West Georgia Wolverines, second half coming up when we return. Back here at the Arena at Gwinnett Center, let's go courtside to Gerald Oliveri. Gerald.
Coach McIntyre, your team came out a little bit slow. They got a fast start on you. What changes do you plan to make in the second half to combat that full court press?
You picked up exactly on us. We are a slow starting team. You saw us pick up a little bit in that second period and hold them and come pretty close in the third period. I told them we've just got to get faster on it. They are a good team. They hold us real good, but we're going to get free, and we're just going to have to do a lot better shooting than we did in the first half.
All right, well, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Back over to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Gerald. And, yeah, indeed, Coach Mack hit it on the head. I mean, that field goal shooting percentage, just over 20%. Probably not going to get it done against the Atlanta Wolfpack. Remember, the Wolverines are the team that's 6-0, but it's the Wolfpack who has come in here today and played like they're the undefeated team.
Well, I'll tell you, from what I've watched of this Wolverine team and in the season, the 2 ladies that are part of the co-captains normally do not miss some of the shots I've seen them miss today. So maybe they'll warm up here in the second half. If half of what they shot had fallen, it'd be a different ball game.
Douglas Johnston, the highlight for West Georgia there in the first half, had 6 points and now make it 8 as he opens up the second half with 2 more.
They played that numbers advantage real well. Reese was going back and forth, but they managed to pass it to the open player and get a good open shot.
Just a 6-point game right here. 18-12. Atlanta Wolfpack, again, the fourth period. But remember, there are 6 periods, so we're not in the fourth quarter. It's not really quarters, I guess, when you have 6. But,
that's right.
Again, 4 out of 6 periods here today. Still 2 more left here to play as we open up this second half. Ball loose there. Johnston picks it up. We talked about Douglas and his play there in the second half, and they're going to look at Eugene Lane, who has the shot in and out right there. Laura Ray on the follow would not go. Rebound Wolfpack. And jump ball call. Possession arrow like to stay with West Georgia.
Eugene Lane can surprise you. He can hit almost anywhere on the floor. Inside that arc.
Johnston, part of the 07 championship team, also 07 handball and football champs. And the bucket. That's 2 more for Gravely. She's got 4 on the day. Gravely with a 3.2 GPA also get done. It's one of the things we were athletes out here who are also very scholastic as well, go along with the athletic side.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every other student athlete out there, the academics have there in order to be able to play, and that applies to these guys as well. And that can be very motivating for players who, have finally felt like they found their niche in being able to play wheelchair sports. And then the threat is, well, hey, if those grades aren't there, you're not going to get to play. Then you see, some impressive academics as well.
Play as a team and play your man is the message from Coach Mack there on the sideline.
Yep, and you can see that if some more of those buckets fall like these have, that's what I'm used to seeing from this team, and they've cut it to a 4-point lead. This game's not over.
Coach Arnold and Coach Roberts rallying their team, and Coach Mack same. Of course, we talked about wheelchair basketball spanning back 6 years now, and they're going to look at the GHSA state champions over the years. The Wolfpack of last year's champ, West Georgia the year before, Atlanta the year before that. Of course, the Macon Bears taking the first 2 in 2000 and 2005, and we've had all of them for you right here on GPB.
So that's a boost to this program when GHSA initiative began. The play was there, and it was all so impressive, wonderful. And then along comes GPB and GHSA.
takes a baseline. The glass this time. Not good to go. Still loose. Garba battling their jump ball. Tied up by Ray and also Hutchins. You see Lacey Todd, who has handled most of the inbound duties here today. We're talking about Eugene Lane of West Georgia being kind of a little guy there, number 2. How about number 2 for Atlanta? Lacey Todd, 5th grader, Burgess Peterson Academy. A part of the dance team, modeling and fashion design with a 3.2 GPA.
Isn't that awesome?
And Miss Todd's a pretty busy player there, number 2 for the Wolfpack.
You might notice on that offensive inbound there that no Atlanta player was in the free throw lane on the inbound. That's actually a rule that while the ball is being presented to the inbounder, no offensive player can be in the lane. And that's to prevent, an unfair advantage because there's no jumping, obviously, in wheelchair ball. The height issue becomes such that we had a little action here close to the table. Reese Johnson and I don't know who that was.
It was Laura Ray.
Was it Laura Ray?
Yeah,
they were
Ray.
both careening closely towards us. It threw me off track there.
I'll tell you what, Laura Ray is not afraid to mix it up.
No.
That's for sure.
She is not. And talk about growth. When she started on this team as a very young girl, she did not want to touch the ball. She wanted to play defense, and if you threw her the ball, this look of terror came into her face, and she hot potato to get rid of it. Look at her now. Team captain, one of the leading scorers. It's really great to watch that kind of growth.
Erica Gravely, again, one of the tri-captains for that West Georgia team, 3.2 GPA.
Oh, Erica sitting at the top of the key because she couldn't be in the lane, got that, was left open. That was a nice look. They needed that bucket.
Now, these two tangled for a 24-22 game earlier this season, and both seem to be on target for that or better here today as far as scoring goes, even though West Georgia's been off a little bit from the field. Briggs hands it off to Johnson. He has not had a lot of real estate to operate with here today. Of course, Johnston will pick up another foul, but that's obviously part of the game plan for Coach McIntyre is to surround Johnson with some bodies.
Yeah, when you have a player of that caliber, he's going to command a lot of attention. That's one of the tough things about figuring out how to play West Georgia. There is no one player to key on. Makes the strategy a little harder to come up with.
It really does, and we talked about that a little bit. That's really been the key for this Wolverine team in yellow has been their balanced scoring. As you see Johnson.
Reese Johnson did a nice job of drawing that foul. That was all upper body action that brought that chair over, but
two team fouls on West Georgia here in the second half.
They're going to take a moment to get Reese repositioned back in his chair.
Johnson, of course, a member of the 2009 Georgia Eagles All-Star team there. Good for additional information on ASP, you can log on to the website, www.adaptedsports.org. We'd encourage everyone to check it out.
You see Reese is getting all of his straps readjusted. In wheelchair ball, there's only one strap that's actually mandatory. That's one that goes behind the heels, but you'll see a lot of players with extra straps that help them maintain a proper position in the chair. And it also allows them to use their body to, little body English to make the chair move the way they want it to without having to touch the wheels.
Good look there by Johnson, went cross court there, trying to find Newton, but Johnston came up with it. Fires in the middle to Gravely. Now back to Johnston, who has an open look here. Ray underneath, trying to put up the shot, does so, and gets the roll. Cora Ray with her second field goal of the day. And it's just a 4-point ball game, or a 2-point ball game now at 18-16. And all of a sudden, the West Georgia Wolverines, Leslie, have made quite a run here in the second half.
There they are. We had the coaches and the captain screaming for a timeout there.
What was a 7-point game after the first quarter, now here in this fourth period, is just a 2-point game at 18-16. Remember, there's still periods 5 and 6 to play here, so this, of course, this final 2:13 is not till the end of the game. As you see the Wolverines, Coach Richard McIntyre calling a timeout right here. His team beginning to rally, and they can feel it now. And, I guess that's the mark of a good team, Leslie. You get down early, you stay behind pretty much the entire game. In fact, I don't think they've led but they've never panicked. And I think that's the mark of a good team.
It is. It definitely is, and a lot of that is the coaching that goes on. Here are some of the additional sports that are offered through ASP. Here you're looking at track and field, some field events, shot put, and the wheelchair races. They're in the racing chairs to do this, the kind of chairs that Scott Hollenbeck used in the Paralympics. Those are really tough to control. Here we're looking at, I believe it's handball, wheelchair handball. Now we're looking at football. We've got a training coming up tomorrow for coaches and refs for football. Lots of fun, lots of great sports. I believe we're in our second or third year now of football.
And you're looking at, a couple of the players here today in this basketball game that took part in those football championships the last couple of years there.
And there's one of our JV teams, and that's handball. They use a volleyball, in fact, is the ball type that's used for that sport.
There's a lot of things going on at Scott.
Long
of course.
pass by Reese. Oh, that was ill-advised. I can see the coaches shaking their heads no at him from here.
You got to take some chances, I guess, especially in a tight ball game right here. Things have certainly gotten a little uncomfortable, if you will, for the Wolfpack here in the last few minutes, with West Georgia being on the run they are. So Reese just trying to create an opportunity there.
Yep, that pass just a little too tall for the receiver.
Hey,
that's one of the things you really have to know. It's sort of an interesting aspect of coaching and playing wheelchair ball, and that is you've got to know the range and abilities of your teammates. You take like Rod Griggs, who basically uses one arm. Well, you throw that ball to his weak side, and he's not going to get that. But if you know him and you know where you have to put the ball in order for him to be able to handle it.
Off the inbound into Laura Ray.
I think Laura could see Eugene coming free on the other side. There was a lot of bodies and chairs between the two of them.
Talking about Ray and handball and some of the other championships. Football, of course, member of the 07 handball and football championship team. Member of the 08 handball team, along with Eugene Lane. A couple other members there. Justin Jones. Also Leslie Ann Hutchins, all, of course, of West Georgia. That's going to be 2 fouls on Lacey Todd. Again, Todd just a 5th grader. A lot of younger players on both teams when you look down the rosters, which is impressive as far as they've gotten this year.
Yeah, when the better teams do that. They've got kids of all ranges in it, and they develop those young kids by making them play in these A-division teams when they are so young, and give them a few years, and you'll just be astounded at how well they can play. Eugene Lang is a prime example of that. He'd be a JV player anywhere else, but his team is an A division, and he's had to learn how to hang with the big boys.
Well, a lot of the players on these teams this year were JV players last year. As you see, Johnson thought he had the foul right there, although the Wolfpack does get the foul, and I think that's why Reese took that shot, because he thought he was going to get the whistle and wanted the call right there in motion.
We've got an equipment issue, it looks like, on Reese's chair. He might have had a bent. That bar that goes across the front by the toes looks like it's bent, maybe digging into his wheel. You have some unusual issues.
Let's go! Let's go, Wolfpack!
The Coosa High cheerleaders in the house here today, cheering on both the Atlanta Wolfpack and the West Georgia Wolverines. Again, 20-16 the score. The Wolfpack of Atlanta leads it. 5-1, of course, coming into this championship game. West Georgia trailing by 4, a perfect 6-0 on the season. And trying to get back to the championship level they were at in 2007. Of course, the Atlanta Wolfpack, the defending state champs. As we get set for period 5 of 6 here today, Dave Garner, Leslie Sweatman, along with the rest of the GPB team. Jared Oliveri courtside with us this afternoon. And indeed, some good basketball being played here. Grants available for 2010, and I know ASP is already looking ahead to the future and some of their partnerships. I know Scott talked about that there in a moment, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but do want to remind folks that these basketball games are being streamed live on the GPB website. Again, www.gpb.org, and all of the games from championship weekend will be archived and can be viewed at a later date. So be looking on gpb.org to be able to watch back your favorite games, favorite highlights from the weekend. There have been a lot of them here in this game especially, and we look forward to everyone being able to check that out on www.gpb.org.
Yeah, I bet Rod Griggs is on there watching himself after he gets home today.
Boy, what a big ball game here for Griggs. I believe he's got 14 points now on the afternoon there for the Atlanta Wolfpack, who continues to lead this game, but a big surge by West Georgia in that 4th period to get right back in it. Right now it's anyone's ball game.
It is. It's a close one. Back to those grants that you mentioned early, and Scott Hollenbeck as well had mentioned them. That's how all that growth occurred this year with the new teams that came in, and there are grants available for next school year. New startup programs could be starting all over the state, and those grants are outstanding. The money that's there covers all the startup cost of the buying of the equipment. Buying these wheelchairs is very expensive. That's a major cost in starting a new team. These grants take away the cost prohibitiveness that might be there for some areas. We'd love to see a bunch more school districts stepped up to the plate and take advantage of those grants.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an amazing partnership over the years, and like we said up top here today, Leslie, it's can't believe it's been 6 years that you and I have sat here together and
that is hard to believe.
Called this state wheelchair championship. It's been a lot of fun, though. Here's Laura Ray with a shot inside, off the mark, would not go. And as you mentioned, kind of uncharacteristic because these players haven't missed a lot of shots this year, especially from that distance. They always have those Gwinnett Arena nerves, I guess, kicking in here in the state championship. That shot
getting a lot of opportunities here. Unfortunately, they have not made them.
Leslie Ann Hutchins, number 15, took that last shot, a freshman at Callaway High School, averaging about 2 points a game. Hutchins, one of those 3 captains on the West Georgia team. That one off the mark.
That's just not something you normally see. Erica does not miss shots like that.
Talk about the GPAs, and speaking of, Hutchins 3.5 for West Georgia. And number 21, Aquitas Burnett, an 8th grader at Sylvan Middle School for Atlanta with a 3.5 as well. I think they're currently the GPA leaders right now. So some of those 3.0s and 3.2s, they need to step up their game there a little bit. Good student athletes out there today on the floor.
Absolutely.
Again, period 5.
That was a travel. He touched the wheel. He knew he had done it, too. He pulled his hand off the rim, but it was too late. He had already initiated that push.
Take a look at Laura Ray, who will inbound it. Sophomore, averaging 7.6 points a game. Here's an open look inside for Erica Gravely. Puts it up and in.
That was a tough shot. She was almost a little too far into the basket, but she managed to get that one in. That was big. We're down to a 2-point game here.
Gravely, the senior from Manchester High School, using the glass well. 2018 Atlanta by 2. They've got the ball. See field goals here. Atlanta 7 of 19. West Georgia 9 of 38. So they've certainly taken a lot more shots than the Wolfpack has.
Very uncharacteristic to have that low of a percentage for this team.
Back on the other end, we're talking about Aquitas Burnett, number 21. He's on the floor right now for the Wolfpack team. Terry Chambers, 13, also out there as well, sporting the mohawk there.
I don't know if he wears that all the time or if that was a game do.
Yeah, that might have just been for the championship right there. I don't know.
Might have been.
Looking inside.
Oh, nice job by Rod Griggs to reach up and knock that pass away. That was an open look for them.
Takes it back out. Looking inside. Kept alive by
She thought she had a little touch on that. I couldn't see it, but
Hutchins lost the handle on it. 4.5 to play in period 5, and they're going to look at the sideline there. Johnson, of course, with his chair being looked over and some work being done on that. It's like a pit crew over there working on that chair.
Now we're seeing the press by the Wolverines, which they were not doing earlier in the game.
Kicking it back out, knocked away by Johnston. And they're going to look at Reese Johnson. Looks like he's strapping back in and should be ready to come back into the lineup here any moment. He's certainly a guy you want on the floor.
For sure, especially when it gets this tight.
Yeah, exactly. And, a guy who's got to watch out is Douglas Johnston. I believe he's playing with 4 fouls. Number 50 has really been the highlight today for West Georgia as the leading scorer. He's done a great job here today, and if he picks up another one, that might be it for him.
That would be a very, very big blow for this West Georgia team. I'm sure he's been well warned to play clean and keep his distance.
Yeah.
Here we've got Johnson subbing back in. I guess they got his chair fixed.
Yeah, something happened at the end of that 4th period that caused Johnson to come off the floor. As you see his numbers, 6 points today with 10 rebounds. Senior from Douglas High School. I'm not sure exactly what they were working on, though, to be honest with you.
I believe that the those bars down by their feet that the footrests are in can get bent up, and if they get bent too much, there's not much clearance there between the bar and the wheel. And if it gets bent up, it'll dig into the wheel.
Let's go ahead and toss it down to Gerald Oliveri. Courtside, Gerald, what do you got?
Hey, we were running what's going on with Reese's chair. They were just tightening up the break. That's all that was going on with it, so that's why he's back in the game now. Just tightening up so he can stop.
All right, thanks, Gerald. There you go.
Well,
you need an answer?
I tell you, though,
check in with Gerald. He's got it today.
I'm not sure how accurate that is. You know, these chairs don't actually have brakes, not the court chairs. So maybe what they were saying was that metal was making him break, and he didn't want to break.
Right.
But you'll see these chairs aren't like everyday chairs. There are no regular, regular chair. You have a brake that you engage with your hand that these chairs don't have.
Well, whatever it was, it worked because Johnson just picked up his last two there. On the other end, shot is there.
What a selfless pass for Erica to send that over.
Justin Jones with his first points of the day, the 6th grader from Manchester Middle School.
First year on the team, that's huge.
How about that? Boy, he is all smiles. He had a free throw taken away from him there in the first half on a lane violation, but comes back here and gets his first field goal. Griggs with the basketball. Trying to feed Chambers inside. Going to take the shot now. Would not go. And here's Jones trying to chase it down. He will get to it.
Down the floor.
Throws up a tough shot. Maybe got a little excited right there because he had an open look.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't know he had that kind of speed. That was a nice job on his part.
Well, Jones again, just a 6th grader, has got several good years left in him, that's for sure. Gets a nice ovation from the crowd there as well for his hustle. And you see Jones, of course, 2008 handball team champion right there, 3.25 GPA. Down to a minute and a half here in period number 5. 5 of 6 here today in this ASP Wheelchair Basketball Championship. Bounce pass to Gravely, who feeds it off to Jones. Lost the handle and out of bounds. Both Coach McIntyres, if you will, over on the bench there, senior and junior.
See who they're going to call that one on.
It looks like Laura Ray.
Laura Ray got that one. I wasn't sure if they'd call it on her or on Jones. Jones' chair was hooked there for a second. Reese has disengaged them.
50 seconds remaining in the period. 50 seconds.
Off the inbound here, Wolfpack with under 42 seconds to work with here now. And Chambers ran into a wall, and Douglas Johnston over there. Looking inside, Johnson open look, knocks it down.
Nice shot.
A dozen for Reese Johnson.
Oh, what a big steal right there.
Takes it away, throws up another back-to-back buckets for Johnson. And that's the big momentum builder that Atlanta needed right there in a close game. They've widened it back out to a 6-point advantage.
And West Georgia cannot allow that kind of quick scores.
Johnson there at midcourt, and wow, how has Reese Johnson picked up his game here in this second half?
He's trying to pop up by himself. He's going to use Justin here to get himself up, but his coach has come out to help him.
A little teamwork right there. I like that.
Even by an opponent.
Yeah,
How about
exactly.
that? It's nice to see sportsmanship is alive and kicking.
Final 8 seconds here in this 5th period. Time winding down. Johnson just going to throw it up, and that will do it as time expires. Just a 6-point game. The Atlanta Wolfpack in 26-20. The Atlanta Wolfpack leads the West Georgia Wolverines as we head to the 6th and final period of play here today at the arena at Gwinnett Center. It's been a great ball game. West Georgia, every time they seem to make a run, Leslie, the Atlanta Wolfpack has had an answer.
They have those 2 real quick buckets with Johnson having right before the end of that last period were tough. That'll be hard to overcome.
Johnson content dribbling the basketball right here, covered up by Laura Ray and Leslie Ann Hutchins. I didn't know if Johnson was trying to kill the clock there or what. Hey,
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt in the situation with a 6-point lead. Remember, West Georgia beat Atlanta 24-22 earlier in the season. But the Wolfpack looking for revenge here today in this state championship game, trying to hand the Wolverines their first loss.
Reese still is having a problem with that bumper guard that they were fixing on his chair. Twice now he's been hung up on another player's chair and had to work to disengage himself. That takes him out of the game while he's having to do that. The equipment becoming a bit of an issue.
Ray with an open look right here, and a little bit too strong off the glass. Rebound Johnson. He's in double figures today in rebounding. Good cross-court move to dribble out of traffic. Owen finds Griggs open underneath. Great play all the way around, just unable to hit the shot. Griggs with 12 points here today. He and Johnson accounting for all 26 of the Wolfpack points in this game. Meanwhile, West Georgia's pretty much been the game plan all year long. They've had 4 different players score here today. That's kind of what they've had happen all year long.
That's sort of their MO, isn't it?
Yep. It's been balanced. They haven't had that one go-to person necessarily all year. Just several different players stepping up, playing as a team. Johnston certainly had a big game with the basketball right now, 8 points here. Gravely also playing well here today with 6. Christian Witt, number 3, into the game for the Wolfpack, an 8th grader from Price Middle School.
That last miss by West Georgia, that's another example of buckets they just can't afford to miss. They get that open look like that. Laura Ray going down a little bit hard on her tailbone.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's laughing or no, she's laughing. She's okay. Remember, as we explained earlier, that many of these athletes do not use chairs in their everyday life. That's why you're able to see Laura Ray stand up and get back in her chair.
And there might be folks that, and we explained that earlier, but for those folks that may have joined us late,
right.
Exactly why that is, I guess there's certain definitions that allow you to play this particular game.
That's true. In order to be eligible, not only do you have to be, of course, enrolled in attending grades 1 through 12, but you also have to have a documented physical disability, orthopedic in nature. But that doesn't mean you can't walk.
Right. And some of these athletes, as we've talked about, do other things. Dance club, obviously do a lot of different things with their high schools. I know that Gravely is a soccer player on the Manchester high school team, also plays volleyball. So Erica Gravely, very busy student athlete.
Absolutely. Folks are pretty familiar with spinal cord injuries and things of that nature. What they're maybe a little less familiar with are disabilities like cerebral palsy, which can look very, very different. It can be, a disability that leaves you very impaired or very minimally impaired.
Right.
So that's why you see some things like that. Joint issues, hip problems, shoulder problems. Any of those might make you eligible to play.
Johnson at the line right here, 4:48 left in the contest. Misses on the first, will have another.
You'll notice the way they line the lane. The shooter on a free throw shot can have their front casters over the free throw line as long as their rear wheels do not touch it. Those lining the lane for the rebound, however, have to have all 4 wheels behind the lane line. And on a three-point shot, the same thing. The front casters can be over the three-point line, but the rear wheels may not.
Fresh faces in the ball game. Joshua Porter, number 15 for the Wolfpack. Also Omega Mead, 6th grader from Price Middle School, number 1 in for the Pack. And number 1 for West Georgia, Logan Boginka.
Boy, this defense by West Georgia is tough. That was a desperation pass. Eugene needs to get rid of it or he's going to get a 10-second count.
Got to hurry, and
that would be the 10-second count.
Yeah, we're talking about Logan Boginka, the 2nd grader there, Georgia Virtual Academy, number 1 for West Georgia out there. I think we've pretty much seen all of the Wolverines here today. Atlanta, meanwhile, dressing out about 12 players on their side there, so they've got a lot of different folks.
Team.
Absolutely. Kaylin McKinnon on the roster there as well. As you see right there, number 1, Waginka, the 2nd grader, mixing it up.
Which, talked about the team size there. You know, that can be a real deficit for a team that only has a few players. Fatigue really begins to set in. Your arms are doing all the work. They're doing the work of your legs and moving the chair and shooting the ball. The fatigue definitely sets in later in the game.
And you saw Logan there. Here's Laura Ray. Trying to go coast to coast right here. Gravely got a piece of Johnson there. Looked like Ray off the glass gets it to go. Laura Ray with 2 more. She's got 6.
They needed that bucket.
Yes, they did. Now it's just a 4-point game, 2-possession game with 3.5 to go.
But I think Erica Gravely maybe got away with a little something on that last
May have,
play.
yeah.
Maybe got away with something there.
Yeah, you wonder how much of that, intentional or accidental and what they call. I mean, I guess there's always that little gray area, just like there is in GHSA ball,
Don't think they were going to give her that touch, though.
I'll tell you what, it's been that kind of day for Reese Johnson. What a game he has played, but it certainly hadn't been easy.
No, it hasn't, and he was trying to get himself up there. He needs something to hold on to get the height to flip his chair over. Now they've called the coaches out to assist him.
Coach Roberts out to Linda Hand. Now we've seen Johnson hit the deck a few times here today, and credit that to some pretty physical West Georgia defense.
Absolutely. Some of these chairs, too, the way they're set up, some chairs are just more, I don't know if this is a word, but some are more tippy than others, which is to say just enough of that upper body, strength that you throw your body to one side, it's enough to actually turn the chair over.
Wolfpack calling a timeout, full timeout with 3:16 left in the final period. Again, just a 4-point game, 26-22. Atlanta jumped out early, led 9-2 after 1. West Georgia put up 4 points in the second quarter, cut the gap to 5. It was an 8-point game at the break in favor of the Wolfpack, and then into the fourth period, West Georgia within 4 at 20-16, but they have not been able to get really any closer than that until right now.
It looks like Erica Gravely over there on the bench might have injured her hand. It's real easy to get your fingers pinched and torn up when you play. I know every time I get in a chair and play, I come home with, looking like I put my hands through a meat grinder.
As you see additional information, www.adaptedsports.org. Check out the website right there, the Atlanta Wolfpack. Trying to make it back-to-back state championships here in 2009. Of course, the 08 champs, and they're going to look at the 07 champs, the West Georgia Wolverines.
I wonder if did I miss something? Has Doug Johnson fouled out? I think Erica's out because she's hurt her hand, but I see now Johnston is also on the sideline. I don't know, maybe he picked up his 5th foul. Just like able-bodied ball, they do foul out when they've committed 5 personals. Maybe not. Maybe they're just resting him. Not sure.
Well, again, with not that many players in uniform, with just 7, everybody has to play at least 1 period per half.
Right.
But with only 7 on the roster, I think West Georgia's probably fulfilled that requirement here. You see Ray in trouble trying to get rid of the basketball. And with just about 3 minutes left in this game, that's going to be Wolfpack ball, it looks like, unless Ray can pick it up, and that ball hit right on the baseline.
She wanted to argue the point,
she tried,
but
yeah.
That was a great effort. She did well to go after that ball. If Reese Johnson had picked that ball up that close, that would have been 2 more quick, easy points.
Meade gets it into Griggs, puts up the shot, would not go. Here's Johnson. Puts up the ball too strong there, but last touch by Hutchins, who could not secure it. And so it will stay with the Wolfpack, who who leads by 4.
You see Gravely back in the game.
Yep.
They probably taped her up and just sent her back in.
Erica Gravely, the senior. But beyond that, you look down this roster for West Georgia, 2nd grade, 8th grade, sophomore, 6th grade, freshman, 8th grade. I mean, these players are going to be around a while, and this is a Wolverine program that's certainly not going anywhere.
No, that's for sure. And they'll only get better. They look young now, and, you see little number 1 out there and the 6th grader, Justin Jones. But in just a few short years, you'll see them develop into, excellent athletes.
And we're certainly going to miss those seniors, Erica Gravely for West Georgia and Reese Johnson for Atlanta. Ball off the mark right there. Oh, Johnson takes it back, puts it up, will draw the whistle. believe they're going to get ready for that one. Gerald and I were talking before the game, and the Wolfpack really in a similar situation. They've got a lot of young players on their team as well. 6th grader, 5th, 8th. A couple of 7th graders on there. 3 sophomores. You've got those 2 juniors in Griggs and Porter, who will be back to lead next year. But, of course, Johnson, the outgoing senior, is it. Good look at Johnson. Big numbers here today. Knocks down the 2nd free throw.
That was a nice shot.
That makes it 27-22. 5-point game here now, so that's certainly, and then a takeaway.
Rod Griggs just snagged that ball.
So from behind there, you see Eugene Lane reaching in there momentarily, and Griggs hits the shot. How about that?
2 West Georgia players on him, and he still hits it. Nicely done.
7-point lead for the Atlanta Wolfpack.
He's got the ball again.
Took it away. Here's Johnson who puts it up and in. 17 for Reese Johnson. And now all of a sudden the complexion of this game has changed drastically as the Wolfpack has opened up their largest lead of the day. 31-22.
They're struggling to break that press.
Boy, that's the possession you're going to point to looking back in this game right here, because up to that point, West Georgia was just 2 possessions away with about 3 minutes left.
She doesn't shoot that. Oops, there it went. Going to get a lane violation.
Ray could not get rid of the basketball right there. Good defense by the Wolfpack, and now they can feel it with just over a minute left.
Just like their able-bodied peers, they have a 3-second count that they're allowed to stay in that lane on offense.
Johnson trying to keep it alive right here. But the Atlanta Wolfpack looking like they're going to avenge their lone loss of the season to this Wolverine team here in the state championship.
What a tremendous late run by Atlanta.
Erica Gravely looking down court. Finally gets rid of it to Leslie Ann Hutchins.
Oh, and she couldn't handle that pass stolen by Rod again.
Here's Johnson behind the back, little showtime.
And draws the foul.
Couldn't get the shot to go, but Ray will pick up another foul, and that will put Johnson at the line. Clock will stop with 25.7.
A little bit of frustration now I'm seeing on the faces of some of our Wolverine players.
Look at the Wolfpack fans. I tell you what, they're feeling it now. I tell you,
excited.
They got the signs out and everything. Johnson maybe a little excited right there on that free throw, but
that
boy,
or a little tired. He should be tired by now.
I was going to say, maybe a little bit of both.
A little of both. He's such upper body strength, though. He's tremendous.
Even after a miss like that, to be able to come back and make it strong off the glass is certainly amazing. Reese Johnson with 18 points here today. It's a 10-point lead, 32-22. Final seconds winding down. Leslie, I've enjoyed it. It's been another fun game this year. Two great teams.
Thanks so much, Dave, and thank you to GPB and GHSA working with us to put games like this on the air.
That shot by Lane off the mark, and that will do it. Reese shows off a little bit of strength and doesn't miss by much. But time is gone, and that'll do it. The Atlanta Wolfpack, defending state champs, make it back-to-back championships here in 2009 as they win it by a final of 32-22 over the West Georgia Wolverines. Reese Johnson with 18 points, Rod Griggs with 14, scoring all of the points today for the Wolfpack. An unbelievable job. 2009 GHSA ASP state champions. Let's go ahead, Gerald Oliveri courtside with the winning coach. Gerald.
I'm here with Coach Roberts. Tell me how it feels to bring home this championship.
It's lovely. I've never had a feeling like this before in my life.
Talk about the play of Reese Johnson out there. He was tremendous today.
Well, Reese has a big heart. He's he's not feeling too well today, but he fought it out and worked really hard, and I really appreciate that, and I love him to death for that.
I know you guys were able to avenge that loss, and I know you have a lot of respect for that West Georgia team.
Oh, of course. Coach Mack and all his staff and his son, I really appreciate them, and I really appreciate the way his team plays.
All right, we'll go celebrate with your team. Congratulations. Back over to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Gerald. Again, a great job here today by the Wolfpack. West Georgia certainly got to keep your heads up. If you're the Wolverines, played a great ball game, fought all the way, trailed early, and had to play catch-up the entire time and nearly pulled it off, but just couldn't quite.
They got to within 2, I think.
Got within 2. Well, that's going to do things right here. Again, the Atlanta Wolfpack 32-22 winners, state champs here in 2009 for our entire GPB crew. And for Leslie Swebman, I'm Dave Garner saying so long, everyone, and we've enjoyed it.
Funding for today's broadcast has been made possible in part by Slappy and Sad, attorneys at law, the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, local union number 72, and by the Atlanta Hawks.